Well, the one at Comiskey was another level because then they announced players. We line up on the line and they announced, my name, and that was something I'll never forget. I think I left like 100 tickets. Literally goosebumps, but that was another level of goosebumps.
Welcome to episode 324 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. It's here. It's finally here. Opening weekend in the big leagues means it's time for the MLB Opening Day Spectacular. And we'll hear from Ian Wilson, Jeff Peach, Taylor Burns, and Lou Pote in just a few minutes. But first, the news headlines. With spring training now over, we can take a look at the performances of some of Alberta's products. We'll start with Calgary's Michael Soroka, who finished the spring with a 1-2 record in 4 starts, posting a 7.47 ERA with 13 strikeouts and 15-plus innings of work. The first 2 outings went really well for the newest Washington Nationals starter, while the last 2 had some bumps in the road. Dawgs Academy product Tristan Peters hit .387 with a homer and 2 RBI in 33 plate appearances for the Tampa Bay Rays. He'll be starting the season in AAA with the Durham Bulls. Another Dawgs product, Matt Lloyd, went 1-for-1 with a double in his lone game for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's also starting the year in AAA with Memphis. And Alejo Lopez looks primed for a start at AAA as well. He hit .310 with 3 RBI and 30 plate appearances for the Athletics. And finally, Vauxhall Academy grad Damiano Palmiciani hit .286 with a homer and 2 RBI and 7 plate appearances for the Toronto Blue Jays and looks primed to head back to Buffalo. We'll be keeping a close eye on where Matt Kootenay, Matt Wilkinson, Gavin Logan, Nathan Flewelling, Eric Hartman, and several other players from Alberta or with ties to our province land as the minor league rosters are set in the coming days. The AAA season, by the way, gets started this weekend as well, while AA, High A, and Low A opening day is April 4th. The complex leagues start up in May. Over to the college baseball world now and our weekly top 5 performances list, and we have to start things off with a shout out to Max Hartman, whose consecutive games hit streak with Washington State University has come to an end at 17. The St. Albert native and Dawgs Academy alum is now hitting .383 on the season with 3 homers and 20 RBI. Beaumont native and friend of the show, Reese Hemmerling, is impressing during his first season with University of South Carolina Upstate. The AHP Academy alum has made 8 relief appearances so far, posting a 1.74 ERA with 9 strikeouts in 10-plus innings, allowing just 5 hits and 5 walks. Hudson Hoy continues to have a fantastic freshman campaign. He had 7 hits and 7 runs scored in a 4-game series over the weekend. The Spruce Grove native is now hitting .348 on the season with 6 homers, 31 RBI, and 11 stolen bases in 27 games. Dawgs Academy product Logan Grant is up to his old tricks with Bellevue University. He's hit 7 home runs in his last 8 games and is now hitting .378 on the campaign with 10 homers and 30 RBI in 25 games. And we'll finish things off with Vauxhall Academy grad Shea McTavish, who had a great performance with the University of Pikeville in a 3-2 loss to Bluefield over the weekend. He went 7 innings, allowing no runs on 5 hits and 4 walks with 7 strikeouts. He's now 2-5 on the season with a 4.95 ERA in 8 appearances. A couple of commitment announcements to pass your way as Calgary Premier Blues product Andrew Beattie is heading to Dawson Community College, while Dawgs Academy outfielder Caden Mislicki is going to Hartnell College. In the CCBC, opening weekend played out pretty much as we expected, with 4 teams earning splits. Prairie Baseball Academy and the University of Calgary went 2-2 with Vancouver Island University and Thompson Rivers, respectively. The Edmonton Collegiate Hawks went 1-3 against the defending champion University of Fraser Valley. This weekend, PBA's at Okanagan College, the Hawks visit TRU, and the Dinos, weirdly enough, already have a bye week. The Baseball Alberta Elite League is getting set for its coming season. They just released their preseason coaches poll, which has the Weber Wildcats leading the pack, followed by the Parkland Twins and the St. Albert Cardinals. Opening day there is April 26th. And Alberta will be playing host to not 1, but 2 Little League Canadian Championships this summer. Lethbridge had already been tabbed to host the Junior League Nationals from July 22nd to 29th. It's now been announced Weber Academy will be welcoming the Senior League Nationals July 13th to 20th. And as always, if you have some news to share or want to recommend a future podcast guest, all you have to do is shoot us an email at albertadugoutstories@gmail.com. On to this week's guests now, and it is the Opening Day Spectacular. The Major League Baseball season gets underway officially today, if you're listening on Thursday, with a full slate of games. It's an exciting time for us as well, as we get to watch several Alberta products either start the season in the bigs or somewhere in the minors. Last year was a bumper crop of prospects getting drafted as well, which adds to that list. Our Ian Wilson has done a great job prognosticating on the prospects and delving into what the coming season might have in store in what could be another big year in the bigs for our province. Ian Wilson, my partner in baseball crime, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
How excited are you? Because it is now, we can say, opening day.
Yeah, it's the best time of the year, right? It's baseball Christmas, whatever you want to call it. It's the happiest time of the year.
I feel like we need to include like the most wonderful time of the year song on the show or something like that. You're a Mariners fan, kind of off the beaten path. How are you feeling about your squad heading into this year?
Oh, well, okay. Well, in the spirit of opening day, let's do the positive first.
Everybody's 0-0.
Probably have the best. Yeah. No, I think they'll have a very good, a very competitive team. That starting rotation is probably the best in Major League Baseball, except for maybe, Dodgers. But Dodgers isn't even a rotation. It's like a 20-man rotation. And they, you know, but the Mariners starting pitching is fantastic. So if I'm going to be sitting down and watching games, I'm really going to enjoy the art of pitching on those days. And they've got a pretty good bullpen as well. The hitters, it's a little light there. It's a little light, and I hope they would have done more to bring in a few more bats. Even just one or two more bats would have helped and gone a long way. So I think from there, the team philosophy was, well, hey, we added a Rosarina, we added Robles, we added Luke Raley last year, and they're kind of the additions that we're going with. And Julio Rodriguez, hopefully he has a better year. So, if things go, as well as they can, I think the Mariners should be a playoff team. But the hitting has to hold. So, but nonetheless, like opening day, we're first in the league, right?
Everybody's tied. Everybody's
Yeah.
at even keel. When it comes to the Mariners, particularly, do you wonder if maybe there's a few free agents still weirdly out there? Do you think that maybe they're waiting to see how things play out before they dive into the pocketbooks a little bit, or do you think this is the roster they're going to go with?
I think this is the roster they're going to go with. They could have and probably should have added a second baseman, and they didn't. So I think what they're going to do is they'll play out the year. If they're competitive around trade deadline, maybe that's when they add in a bat or two or a second baseman, or like they're just really frugal right now. And as a fan, that's you never want to say that. It's you're a Blue Jays fan, you see the Vlad Guerrero stuff, and it probably drives you bonkers that he's not signed long term. This isn't necessarily like a one person negotiation, but it's hard when that money gets in the way of some of what you want to cheer for, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of the Blue Jays, you've got a great story up on albertadugoutstories.com and another one that's now out on Saskatchewan Dugout Stories about the Blue Jays coming through. I mean, this is one of those teams. They're the national team, right? In the grand scheme, they represent this country. And we've talked about it on occasion, is like where the Jays go, the grassroots game goes too. Are you optimistic that the Blue Jays will be better than they've been over the last couple of years at all, to maybe not only be better from a playoff perspective, but also from that national identity perspective?
I have no doubts at all about their national identity. I think they've spent decades cultivating that and done a very good job of it. You look historically, yes, what you're referring to with my stories was the exhibition games they did in places like Winnipeg and Regina and Medicine Hat, even in the late '80s, early '90s after the Pearson Cup. They stopped doing that. They did these cross country exhibition games. They've done the winter tours year after year and gone to Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton. So I think they've done a very deliberate and good job of fostering baseball in this country. They've also put on baseball clinics and academies across Canada. They've helped with construction of ball diamonds across Canada. So I don't think you can really understate the importance of that. These are all things that help grow baseball,
Hmm.
whether you're a Jays fan or not. So I think their reputation is well earned. I applaud them for that. I think they've just done a great job of that. This edition of the Blue Jays, I think, again, they have to have some things go right. Bo Bichette has to be better. Vlad has to be as good as he can be. I actually think their pitching is pretty good. They're starting pitching. So I think they'll be competitive. I think they'll be right there for a playoff spot. Whether they can drive that home, I'm not entirely sure, but I think they'll be right there. And I'll be cheering for them as much as I'm a Mariners fan. I definitely cheer for the Jays a bit too. So I hope they have a good season. I
Hmm.
like the Santander acquisition as well. I think that helps.
Well, it gives a little bit of a buffer for Vlad, right? Because I felt over the last couple of years they didn't have that big bopper who could follow him up, so they had to pitch to Vladdy and pitched maybe a little off kilter, perhaps. Versus now you can't walk him, for example, or you can't pitch easy to him, right? You now have to pitch tough because otherwise you've got Anthony Santander waiting in the wings, right?
Yeah,
If
I think too, like helping the Jays is that the Yankees have fallen off a bit. Some of that
mm,
due to injury, some of it losing Soto. I fear the Red Sox a bit.
me
I
too.
actually quite like that lineup, and so yeah, we'll see where it goes.
I know it's 162 games until well, more than that, I guess, when you consider playoffs. But if you had to dive into your crystal ball, do you have a World Series matchup in mind that you think is going to happen in 2025?
Oh, short answer is no. You're putting me on the spot here. I can never really look that far ahead. I mean, that's a lot of terrain to cover,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, well, the Red Sox are a buzzy kind of pick right now. Let's go Red Sox Mets just off the top of
Ooh.
my head, and for no well thought out or analyzed reason, I'll go with that, and we'll make all the Mariners and Jays fans angry with that
It's
with
okay
that
because
prediction.
I went on record last year saying it was going to be. I did an interview with CBC right off the start of the season, and they posed the same question. And I said Blue Jays and Braves. I was like, 1992, here we go. I missed it by just a bit outside, right? Missed it. I have a hard time going against the Dodgers. I think that pitching staff, to
Yeah,
your point, is just incredible. The AL feels like a craziness, right? Like whether it's to
yeah,
your point, the AL East is just a behemoth on its own. When you think about the Yankees, will still be a wagon regardless of the injury problems. Although I agree with you, I think they're going to get a drop off. The Red Sox look good. The Rays are always weirdly good, and Baltimore's young, right? Kansas City's young and really good. Cleveland's always a competitive team. Like there's so many teams that are kind of in the mix right now. AL's kind of hard to pinpoint, but I'm kind of
it
with you at
is.
this point. If I had to make that prediction, I'm going Dodgers Red Sox. But I
Yeah,
mean, anything and everything can happen over the next 162.
yeah. And those Phillies are pretty good on the NL side too,
Yeah.
and Arizona. So, it's never easy winning this thing. And you talk about pitching, especially. It always feels like there's big injuries on the mound, and those are not always easy to overcome.
Absolutely. When injuries do happen, there's opportunities for others, and we know that by an example last year with Erik Sabrowski. And obviously, he's now dealing with the opposite of that. He's hurt, but when it comes to the excitement level from an Alberta perspective, whether it's Michael Soroka getting the starting opportunity in Washington this year, Erik Sabrowski coming up and being able to come back into a regular rotation, a regular spot out of that bullpen, what are you excited for heading into 2025 from an Alberta perspective?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Erik Sabrowski. He was our newsmaker of the year last year, and
Mm-hmm.
rightfully so. So I want to see him. I don't think his injury, from what I've read, is overly serious. I
Mm-hmm.
hope not. So I just kind of want to see him get back to where he was last year, and just getting some time in the bullpen. like you said, it's a long season. So they've got all kinds of time with him. Cleveland definitely has a good bullpen.
Yeah.
So they can afford to take their time in making sure he's where he needs to be health wise before he gets at it. And Mike Soroka, fresh start for him. He goes from the Chicago White Sox, who, a historically awful team last year, and he was a bright spot on it.
Mhm.
So I know he's trying to get back to being an effective starting pitcher, which is great. He's had some up and down results in spring training, but I think, he's shown he can do that before. And Washington isn't this terrible team that they've
Yeah.
been in recent years. A lot of their prospects are coming up. They're they've got good players now. So I think with Mike, it's just he's not gonna have super high pressure to perform, but he's got a rotation spot locked up right now. So he's gonna get every chance to succeed as a starting pitcher again. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And I think too, like he does have the reliever option to fall back on.
Mhm.
He's proven he can be an effective reliever. And honestly, I think if that's where his career trajectory takes him, I think he'll be a stud reliever for many, many years. So, like I said, it's just good to know he's got that option, but let's see what he can do as a starter.
Absolutely. There's a few guys waiting in the wings as well. You wrote a great piece about the five guys to kind of keep an eye on heading into the year. We won't go through every guy, but obviously Jacob Melton and Tristan Peters are probably top of that list right now when you think about their overall performances, especially over the spring. How cool was it, especially with Tristan Peters, to see him light it up in spring training and put himself that much closer to finally getting that call up to Tampa Bay?
Yeah, he's right there. He's knocking on the door, and he kind of think the interview that you did with him, he described AAA as like the waiting room for
Mm-hmm.
MLB, and he's in that waiting room, and he's shown it. So it was good to see him have a strong spring. I believe his plans were to go to South America, Venezuela, was it, or
Yeah.
Colombia,
Yeah.
to play winter ball, and that didn't quite work out for him, just in terms of passport issues or whatever he was working through. Uh, so we'll see if those extra reps, maybe the relaxation and not having to go through the rigors of travel and everyday at bats, getting a break from that may have helped him out
Mm-hmm.
long term. We'll see, but we'll be cheering for him for sure. He was such a amazing member of the Okotoks Dogs to watch play, and just he's such a modest guy
Mm-hmm.
too. He's really not going to be the one necessarily. He's got a quiet confidence, but he's not going to necessarily be the one tooting his own horn. So be cheering for him to make it. Jacob Melton is another former Okotoks Dogs player, who, I think he won a title with them in 2019, and he's also in that AAA waiting room. And he was there's buzz of him getting a call late season last year. I think he'll find his way up to the major leagues with the Astros this year. And I think Damiano Palmagiani with the Blue Jays is another guy that very likely could see time,
Mm-hmm.
in the big leagues this year. He's got a lot of power. He's been a good hitter in the minors, and we'll see what comes with injuries and plans for third base and infield. I think, not sure if they've given him outfield reps as well, but those three guys in particular are ones that I'm keeping an eye on.
Did you see Damiano's homer in the spring training game?
No, I didn't see it because it left the planet.
Yeah. I was like, you had to have seen it. And you baited me, so well done on that front. It's amazing. Like, I think if he can hit at a regular level beyond the power, right? Like, there's no question he led the Blue Jays minor leaguers in home runs last year, but he also hit 205 or something like that. Like, it was just over Mendoza, right? So if he can figure the average out, much the same as what Tristan kind of dealt with last year, he was having troubles hitting the ball out. Like, he wanted to hit for power, but he said it in the interview at the end of last year, is he added some power, but he also lost some average. So once you get both those working together is usually where you get that sweet spot. So again, both those guys and Jacob as well, right on the cusp. One other guy that really caught our eye and I think was story number 2 last year, happens to be in the same organization as Erik Sabrowski, Matt Tugboat Wilkinson. Call me crazy. This is a way out there idea. He started the year in A ball, goes to high A, excels in both. In theory, as we record this, they haven't decided where he's going to land, but I suspect it's going to be double A because he's done everything he can at the A level. If he continues to do what he did in 2024, is it plausible that he gets a call up to AAA by Canada Day? And then by then, if he keeps going, is it plausible that he gets a call up to the show around the same time Erik Sabrowski did last year, which was the end of August, early September?
It's an ambitious timeline. It's aggressive, but so is Tugboat. You know, I think most timelines see him as a 2026 MLB debut for him. I, but you just can't count him out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he just has been, and this goes back to like even Little League. Like
Yeah.
when you and I have talked about this, when has he not dominated? When has he not been an excellent pitcher? When have you not talked to his coaches and they're like, they just don't have enough adjectives to describe how good he is and competitive and all of those things. So you doubt him at your peril.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he is most likely going to be a AAA this year. I think that even though that's an aggressive timeline, I think he's going to get to AAA. So yeah, I think it's possible. I think a September call up is possible, but I just man, like you want to pump your brakes a little bit because you don't want to put too much pressure on not that Tugboat's listening to us and think, well, wait, what are
Or
they doubting
maybe.
me? What are Joe and Ian doubting me? No. But you know what I mean? Like I think we do want to be realistic about the timeline and you have to kind of see what the organization wants to do.
100%.
Cleveland has no shortage of stellar arms in there. So are they going to be rushing not even rushing, but well, yeah, I guess it would be rushing him through the system to get him to have an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And again, injuries can happen. Maybe they get to that spot. I think next year is most likely, but I think this year is possible for
Yeah.
sure.
It's going to be really fascinating to watch. And not only that, but I was just putting together a list, and we're going to do a story in the next week or two on where everybody lands. We've done it in the past. We didn't do it in 2024, and I felt bad about it, but I've compiled a list so far of the guys who've played here, born here, happen to go to the academies here, and that list keeps getting longer. And it had a massive bump in 2024 because of the MLB draft, where we had 13 players with connections to this province who were taken in that draft, and the WCBL with its strongest contingent to date. It's amazing to see, but it also is going to be crazy to keep tabs on the Eric Hartmans, the Cohen Aikens, the Shea Shannemans, all of these different players who had some, whether it's step foot in here or were born here, who are going to be in their pro journeys, right? What excites you the most on that side of things as far as kind of watching the evolution of some of these guys, whether it's a Matt Kootenay who's been doing it for a few years or it's a Nathan Fluelling who's getting his first shot at pro baseball?
Well, I think you and I have touched on this before, how we recently have seen the demolition of Foothills Stadium, and that with it, you can look back to some of those dreams of AAA just fading and dying here
Mm-hmm.
in Calgary, which is really sad. And you think about how many good players you were just basically seeing future and previous MLB talent come through the city and through Edmonton all the time.
Yeah.
We don't live in that era now, but what I think is so much more exciting is the guys that we are keeping tabs on. Yes, we have Americans come through the Western Canadian Baseball League, and we stay abreast of what they're up to. But we have so much more homegrown talent from across Canada and in Western Canada and Alberta that we are, and Saskatchewan as well, that we've got an eye on. And we're seeing them filter into the minor leagues. So I actually think the ability for success for Alberta and Saskatchewan and Western Canadian pitchers and batters is better than it's ever been.
Hmm.
Even last year, we had, when we started out, it was Mike Soroka, and that was like all we had. And
Hmm.
like nothing against Mike, he's got broad shoulders, and we were happy to cheer him on and get on that bandwagon. But then last year, you've got Sabrowski in there too, in terms of Alberta pitchers. So hopefully we have like a handful of those guys moving forward. And baseball can be a cruel sport in terms of opportunity and injury, but I just think we're well positioned, better positioned than we have been in previous years.
For sure. And another name that I got to bring up too is Matt Lloyd. Had a phenomenal year this last year in Double A and is starting the year in Triple A in St. Louis's system now. And again, if things align and St. Louis is not a contender, quote unquote, they've unloaded some of their stars. Who's to say if he goes off in AAA that the Cardinals don't come calling at some point? And we're going to be talking about another guy who's knocking on the door. So it's an exciting time because there's a lot of, I'll call it, hypotheticals heading into the 2025 baseball season, and the MLB season is here. Ian, the final question I got for you: what excites you the most about this time of year?
You know what? I actually think it's the little things with baseball in this time of year. I had a fantasy baseball draft on the weekend, and so we're drafting our teams, and it's an in-person thing, and having a couple of cold ones, and making fun of each other for our picks and all that fun stuff. But also just we've got some spring training baseball games on in the background, and just that I love that sound. Even when I'm
Mm,
not paying attention to the game, there's that. I think what was his name? Lyndon, not Trevor Linden, but his brother, who was the
right.
general manager of the woeful 1988 Metasnap Blue Jays, who called it the soundtrack of the summer. And
Hmm.
I really agree with that sentiment. I just love the sounds of kind of that hum of the crowd, and it's a bit of a nice kind of lazy sound in the background, a summer sound. And then you get the odd bit of like excitement, the crack of the bat, or like the flare of the crowd. And I like those things just really, yeah, those are the things that excite me. It's not even so much a specific performance or expectation of anything. It's more just having it back. It's like, you know, getting a visit from an old friend again.
Hmm. And also getting to be involved with it from the kid perspective as well. I know you're coaching your kid. I'm going to be coaching my kid as well. So it's that time of year, and it's right here. Looking forward to another great year of baseball here in Alberta and across all of North America. Major League Baseball starting up this weekend. Ian, my friend, always a pleasure. We'll chat soon.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Next up is Jeff Peach at Weber Academy. As has become tradition, he's had Michael Soroka training at his facility in the offseason, which adds an element of excitement for the Academy players as they get to watch a big leaguer in action. They're also seeing the fruits of their labor with several college players performing well, and they get showcase it all with the aforementioned Little League Championship as well as the Women's 19U Baseball Canada Nationals, which are being hosted July 31st to August 3rd. So we wanted to put a spotlight on that as well during this all-encompassing conversation. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Opening day is finally here. How excited are you to finally see some MLB games being played for reals?
I tell you, it must be, this is probably the first year where I feel like I'm playing catch up. I missed most of spring training. We got so much going on here right now. So, but I just looked at the calendar and went, holy cow, we got games starting this week. And I think I had a few fantasy leagues that counted some points on the weekend there in Japan. I know I watched a few of those games, feeding my daughter there at 5 a.m. So
Are you like me
I'm
where
ready to go now.
are you like me where you're almost sitting there going, "Oh, right, I was supposed to set my rosters. Should have probably done
Yes.
that before Japan, eh?"
Yeah, yeah, and there was a lot of heated exchanges. Should we include the Japan games or not? And
Oh, the politics of fantasy baseball. So who's your team?
Oh, I'm a Jays guy through and through. Always can, always have been, always will be. Yeah, it's the hopeless romantic in me, I guess.
So, do you have any hopes, dreams, expectations out of this year's crew?
I think it's the fan in me will always hope for the best. I think the pessimistic realist of me is we'll see how it goes. They took a few swings and missed a few there in the off season, but yeah, we'll see. It's anything can happen, and yeah, you just need to get in, and then you never know what can happen. So
Am I wrong in thinking of having at least a little bit of blind faith? I know the players aren't supposed to play for contracts, but I feel like Vladdy is sort of got this prove it kind of contract situation. Bo's going to be entering it soon. Alejandro just signed his deal now, so he wants to make sure that he's showing it off. I mean, there's some pieces there that make me think maybe they're the sleeper to sneak into the playoffs, and then anything and everything can happen.
yeah, there's a lot of motivation there for a couple of guys. So you can hope, and that's the best case scenario, I think, is they all go out and have their career contract years and make their hundreds of millions in the off season. And if they all have great years, hopefully the team wins a few ball games.
If only they could just throw a couple of dineros my way, and it'd be just
Yeah.
we'd be just perfect. So, I know over in Weberland, it's not just a Blue Jays place, but obviously a Washington Nationals place. Now, I know there's been some hat swapping between the Braves and then the White Sox, and now it's the Nationals. How excited are you to see Mike in action and see what he's able to prove, given that he kind of did his own prove me kind of contract with the 1 year with the expectation that he gets to be a starter again in Washington?
Oh, we're pumped. We're pumped for him too, and I know he's excited for the opportunity. It's a chance to show like he showed last year he can be a reliever and a really good one. Like I think he was a top five guy there if you looked based on the per innings metrics with the strikeouts. But it's a great opportunity for him to be a starter, and I'm really excited for him. And I think he's going to do great, and yeah, just can't wait to watch him now. So.
Absolutely. And he had a couple of really good outings during the spring and also a couple of ones that he'd probably like to have back, a couple of pitches. But spring training, I don't put a lot of weight into. But at the same time, it's got to be nice to see that, hey, he can put up the innings, that he can strike some guys out, and that starter role, he's not too far removed from.
Yeah, no, it's something that I'm learning, connecting with our coaches like Chris and Cole here about how spring training is approached by guys like that, and then what they work on and when they work on it and things like that. So yeah, the spring numbers, it's nice to see. There's a few metrics and a few check boxes you like to see, but a lot of the times it's like, this is what my plan is for today, and I'm going to stick to it, good or bad. And so yeah, I'm excited to see him in game here, and I think he's got a really good shot to do some damage. And I think the Nationals are going to surprise a few people this year. So
They're a young team, and so I'm really genuinely curious because they kind of bring him in as this weird, wily veteran, even though he's not all that old either. But they've got some pieces and some old guys that can, or older guys, I guess, that can show the ropes to a guy like Mackenzie Gore as an example, and they've got some potential there. So I mean, it's not going to be like last year where like, okay, well, it's guaranteed loss night and on the south side of Chicago, right? Like it's going to be a little different for him in that way too.
yeah, no, for sure. He and it's funny because I consider him a wily vet, even though I always have to remember he's a few years younger than me, and because he grew up playing with a lot of my coaches here, and so they know him better than I do. But he just holds himself with that maturity he's had since his draft year, right? That was a big thing for him. So yeah, no, I think they'll be a good group that they might ride the roller coaster a little bit being so young, but when the goings are good, I could see them having a few streaks.
Absolutely. Speaking of Mike, obviously there's the spring training element, but the pre-spring training element is he's in your office, right? He's showing up every day and putting in the work to make sure he's ready to go for spring training. What's it like from your perspective walking in knowing that he's going to be there?
Oh, it's a blast, especially because in the mornings it's kind of him and me. He just comes and works out in my office, basically overlooks the weight room, so he'll lift all morning and he blasts his tunes and comes in and we talk about his lunch and stuff like that. He's very big on the nutrition. He he dials in all of the things off the field that he can dial in, he does. And so it's fun to pick his brain on the things that he's eaten and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, he has fun with it. And then he'll stick around some days and work with our older guys. And when we start throwing bullpens on the weekends, then he'll come to one or two and offer up some advice to the kids. And yeah, they love it. They love him. And he's an awesome dude. He's so personable. He's so willing to help out and always willing to take a picture, sign an autograph, or just say hello and talk with guys.
It's funny you mentioned the music part because we had Kai Rempel on the show not that long ago, and he was saying the same thing. It's like, he's in town when you walk in and he's got the rock or the metal blasting. So what is he playing? Like, out of curiosity, has he got the Nickelback, or is he even heavier than that?
Oh no, it's a little bit more. It's heavier stuff, and I don't want to throw out specific bands because honestly, like a lot of them I haven't heard of, and he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you gotta listen to these guys. They're great. They're great, and I dig the music, but I like it's definitely heavy metal stuff, and it gets the blood flowing, and sometimes he'll switch it up on you, but for the most part, it's high energy stuff, and it's stuff he listened to when he was younger, and then some new albums. So
Very cool. Speaking of Kai, obviously he's one of those guys who can look at Mike and go, okay, that was the path he took. There is a path to get to the big leagues or to the pros, for example. How important is a guy like Mike and some of these guys, even at the college level, to some of the younger guys in the academy program who maybe, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they didn't necessarily see that path. Now they have it, and there's a successful track record to go along with it.
I think that was big actually. It's ironic you bring that up because we were chatting. I was chatting with one of our 15U groups, our 15U double A group there the other day after the episode, and I was telling them about Kai because I was that guy that cut him from that team, or I was part of that group that cut him from that team he wanted to be on, and so yeah, I was telling him like it's when you're that young, it's your world, and you think, you know what, this is devastating, but guys can use it as motivation. And a lot of guys don't know that Mike at that age, he played double A too. And look where he ended up. So it was a great opportunity to show them like, look, it's everybody's path is different, and some will start a little higher and taper off, and some start slow, some grow early, some grow late. And to be able to show that if you keep putting your nose down and putting in the work, you can get to where you want to be. And it's awesome to see Kai having so much success there at Cloud, and they're doing well and beating top ranked teams. And so yeah, it's exciting, and it's fun to be able to show those kids now as a program, the few guys that have gone on so far, and say, look, here's where they're at and they're doing well, and it's good affirmation for us that we're finding the right spots for guys where they're getting a chance to play and contribute early.
And Kai also mentioned the fact that when Mike is up throwing a pen session, for example, they gather the pitchers around just to watch, right? How influential do you see that being? Not just from like, a Mike perspective, but let's say a Simon Baker comes back and is throwing or is hitting in the cages, like just to give that opportunity to see the mechanics piece, but also sort of the timing and the cadence and all those pieces that have to come together to get to that next level.
Well, you hit on it there. Like the timing and the cadence is a big one. I think I often have to point out to the younger kids is like he will throw a bullpen, and in between pitches, there's 20, 25, 30 seconds. And one of the first things, or one of the things that a lot of young kids do is that they'll throw a 30 pitch bullpen in 4.5 minutes, right? And you're like, okay, take a breath here. Did you remember any of what just happened? And so, yeah, for him, it's throw, it's get the ball back. It's okay, what did I feel? What did that pitch do what I wanted? Was it a competitive pitch? Things like that. And just the things that he focuses on, and then the intensity with which he does it. Like he'll ramp up and he'll reach back for a few, but it's not everyone, and it's not right away, right? And it shows guys that you can throw 92, 93, 94, and you don't have to be, head whacking and arms and limbs flying all over the place. It can be methodical and there can still be intent. And it's awesome for them to see it in real time, which sometimes you just can't appreciate on a video. And then the conversations that he has with Chris as they're working, it's a privilege to be a part of it.
Not just from the player appearance perspective, but obviously this time of year, everybody's kind of trying to ramp up a little bit. You're starting to see some game action. It's not secluded into the field house kind of thing. How important is it from your perspective to make sure that the guys and gals playing the game now aren't getting all jacked up on that adrenaline rush and overthrowing or swinging from their socks kind of thing, and make sure they're being methodical about the first couple of weeks here?
You know what? I think it's no matter how hard you try, it's always going to happen. The lessons I've learned over these years is it's just get them a bunch of games so that they can go out and get it out of their system, right? And I remember our prep team coach Cole, he sent a message to the guys and just said, like, let it fly this first couple of days, right? Don't worry, don't hesitate, don't worry about being timid. Just let it fly, see what comes out. We'll come back here to Calgary and we'll get it right and sorted, and we'll take back what we need to. So. Yeah, it's just give them a bunch of game reps so they can get the jitters out and yeah, it's that's the best way that I've found because we all feel it, coaches too, right? Middle of February, you're just looking out there at snow and you're just like, even a facility as beautiful as ours and we're able to do live on live since January, it's just not quite the same. And yeah, every time. You always tell a pitcher that's gotten out there for his first outing because he's just a little bit amped up. And it's just, okay, go see if you can get through the first and then you can settle in.
I got to say, though, pitter patter, let's get at her, right?
Yeah.
So from a 2025 perspective with Weber, what excites you the most about the coming season?
Honestly, it's just to keep on going when progressing. We've come so far in such a short amount of time, much faster than I originally thought when we started this. And we got some good young players and some older players. Like we're graduating now to almost 19, 20 guys to colleges this year. So we got a lot of young guys on various teams that are kind of looking to make an impact and looking to show that they can take the next step. And yeah, we've got a really competitive schedule for our oldest team, and then some lofty expectations for our next few teams. And then yeah, I'll carry on down. We got our 13U team there for the first time since the program started. So we're excited to see those kids play and not pulling them, but introducing them to Baseball Alberta from their little leagues that they were in when they were younger and still age eligible there. So that'll be an exciting team to follow too. So it's just getting kids out on the field, letting them play, getting them some reps, develop, and then yeah, having some fun along the way.
The smile tells a million words. I know this is audio only, but I got to tell you, Jeff's smiling from ear to ear right now. And not just for that reason, but you guys get to host the 19U Girls Nationals coming to Weber Academy. What's it mean to you to be able to do that and put the academy, but also put the province on a bit of a pedestal at the end of July and early August there?
No, it's exciting. Like we started down that path last year, and it's gained new meaning for a few of us on the staff as well. Because I have a daughter, our hitting guy Cole has a daughter, Chris had 3 daughters growing up, and so it's kind of the opportunity to you want to see the game progress for them if they play baseball, and hopefully there are more opportunities and further development in 15, 16 years for them, and it starts now. So we're honored and we're excited. It's an opportunity to showcase a facility on a national level, which we haven't done yet. And yeah, it's exciting to be asked to do that event and to host it, and we're gonna try and do it as best as we can, and bring in as many fans as we can and girls for some clinics and things like that, and just really show that Alberta's taken a step, I think, on the girls' baseball side. You have your provincial powerhouses still out east and in BC, but Alberta's, I think, in a really good job, thanks to a number of people in baseball Alberta in taking that next step to try and climb into that tier of teams like Ontario and Quebec. So it's exciting to be able to show more girls that, hey, look, we can hold our ground on a national level, and it starts by just picking up a ball as young as you can.
Mm-hmm. I've got a daughter who's 2 who's very excited about baseball already, and I'm between her and my 4.5-year-old who's going to be entering T-ball this year. Yeah, the McFarland family is going to be very, very happy, and we're going to be trying to take in a few of the games at Weber Academy. I know it's a massive undertaking to do an event at the national scale like that. So do you need anything at this point? What are you guys working on in the next couple of months here to make sure that you're putting on a world-class event?
Well, we'll always take volunteers. If any experience, no experience required. I need scorekeepers. I need help with parking. I need help with just making the experience go well for all these girls here. Because we have it overlaps quite a few provincial tournaments for a number of our players and parents. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now, but the Baseball Alberta staff has been super helpful. The Baseball Canada staff has been super helpful. And then, yeah, it's just trying to find some sponsors and some donors so we can do some awesome things for opening ceremonies and provide, all the amenities that you would expect out of a national. So, yeah, anybody that wants to get involved in any capacity can reach out to me. My email's on the website. Give me a shout, and then I can find something for you, because it's going to be a big weekend, busy weekend for sure.
Absolutely it is, and we're happy to spread the word as well to make this no different than what we're going to be seeing in Fort McMurray as well with their national tournament that they're going to be holding as well this summer. So an exciting time in Alberta, exciting time right now as well. Final question for you here, Jeff. What do you love most about this time of year?
Oh, it's just that anticipation. It's getting the kids out on the field and seeing kind of what comes out, right? You have an idea in your head of how it's going to go, but until they really get out there and start playing, you have no idea. And some guys surprise you, and some guys it's like, oh wow, okay, that's where we're at. That's fine. And it's just being able to get out there, see what has come out, and then move forward from there. And then watch a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
It's I always have to make excuses to come over to the park, and I'll be on daddy duty, but daddy duty will often be me just ripping over to the fields to watch whoever's playing that day.
Hey, that's the best way to do it. Absolutely. Jeff, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us, and really looking forward to seeing what's up your sleeve in the 2025 season.
Sounds good. Looking forward to having you in August.
Now we head to St. Albert, where Absolute Human Performance owner Taylor Burns stops by to discuss last year's Story of the Year in our books, Erik Sabrowski. He was outstanding after getting his first promotion and will be looking to duplicate that again this season once he's back from injury. Like at Weber, it's been an exciting time at AHP with their academy programs already on the go, and the presence of a guy like Sabrowski adds to the excitement level around their facility. Taylor, as always, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Opening day is finally here. How excited are you to finally see some MLB games on the TV?
Yeah, I'm really excited. As a Jays fan, let's just say I'm ready to get hurt again. But honestly, it's crazy, but I'm a Guardians fan now.
From a Blue Jays perspective, are you holding out a little bit of hope maybe? I mean, I keep going back to, hey, Vladdy's in a year where he has a prove himself kind of contract situation. Bo's entering that same situation. They did up the ante a little bit. The pitching staff is a little bit maybe improved. Is there maybe hope or a light at the end of the tunnel in your eyes?
I think there's hope. Yeah, like if Scherzer can be what he was, 2 years ago, and then you got him, Gosman, Barrios. Like if you have 4 really good starters, and they all have a good season simultaneously, that can carry you a long way. So I'm hopeful with that. And for the last 3 years, I've wanted a lefty bat that can hit home runs. So we will see. But I mean, me and a couple of my friends who are really good Jays fans, we're cautious. We're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I'm always the same way going in, and then about a month in, I'm like, I should have just hung my hat and put on that Guardians cap that I just bought over the off season. So
yeah, no doubt.
Speaking of, how excited are you to see Erik back on the mound again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm beyond excited. It's so rewarding and so happy for him. For him to live out, his dream and something that he worked, harder than probably a lot of people can imagine to achieve, and really excited for him to try and build off that.
You and I talked about it a little bit, kind of in the midst of the run that they were on. So we didn't get a chance to look at it through the 2020 hindsight microscope a little bit, but that playoff run, he was exceptional during that as well. I mean, what was it like watching him on a day-to-day basis, knowing the trials and tribulations that he's had to overcome over the last few years?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I still don't really have the words to say. Like, I consider Erik, like, our relationship is kind of multi-dimensional. So, he's like a younger brother, and he's a great friend now too. So, there's that piece of it. And then also just as his trainer too and everything. I mean, but ultimately just super, super happy for him.
Then he gets married in the offseason, and just in case he didn't have enough time on his hands, he comes back and trains with you, giving some pointers to the kids as well. How cool is it to have him there, keep coming back, and also giving back to that AHP community?
I mean, it's obviously it's a dream come true of mine to train a big leaguer. So it's always fun trying to tweak around the edges and make our straight. With elite athletes, it's less about working on their weaknesses and trying to enhance their strengths. Making what allows him to be who he is and do what he does, just make it a little better, right? So that's always is fun from a pitching and strength conditioning perspective. Fun to play catch with him too, and see firsthand what the ball does and all that. And then you couldn't ask for a better pro athlete or to be around your college, high school, and the young kids. Just with him personally, but then also like we know it's something that it's called ignition, right? It's kind of the same concept as like the 4-minute mile, right? Everyone thought it was impossible to achieve that, and then as soon as someone did, a bunch of other people did. And if you're a 15-year-old and you see a real big leaguer in the same facility that grew up here, that was in your spot working with whatever the same coach, it just changes, I think, mentally your perception of what is possible. And suddenly it goes, okay, like, I just think it's extremely powerful.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned it. It's kind of like that. I'll call it the "if you can see it, you can be it" mentality, right? For a lot of those younger guys. But even like I'm talking to Dom Morgan as an example last year, and having the opportunity to just catch a couple of throws from him. Like I think he said he frying panned the first couple, right? Like it gives them that sense of, okay, if I want to get there, I got to work a little harder than the average bear too.
Right, but it also on the flip side, like I think Dom's being a little hard on himself. Like he catches Erik really well, and Erik will tell him that and how powerful that is. And he's not lying to him, like he wouldn't, and for him to say, man, you're not that far away from like a pro catcher, and how just like exciting that would be to hear for when you're 17, 18 years old, right?
He's out for a little bit anyways with another injury. Like you said, you guys are kind of like brothers, or you're kind of like best friends kind of thing. What are you telling him during this off time to maybe keep him up? Or do you have to, given that it's just kind of another setback in the journey?
I mean, he's been through it so many times, and like, I don't need to tell him much anymore. I would say, like, he knows that if he needs to talk or wants to talk, we can. But it's just helping how I can, and even just chatting about complaining about the Oilers and worrying about if Leon and McDavid will be back in time. That can help too.
How cool is it to see the guys down south doing what they're doing as well? Because we talked about Erik, and obviously that's the big picture guy. But when you think about the Cole Hubners of the group, or you think about some of the Will Gardners of the group, are doing so well down in the States, like what's that like from your perspective to see some of that hard work paying off for some of the guys at the college level?
It's extremely rewarding, right? Like I would put my love of the game up against anybody. I love playing college baseball so much, and it's really what got me into doing this. I'm passionate about a lot of things, but if I had to pick one, it's probably I'm most passionate about trying to give kids that want to pursue baseball to the next level, help them as much as I can. And I think we have 23 alumni now down in the States playing, and a lot of them are doing really well. And yeah, I mean, it's beyond rewarding.
How influential are they in the grand scheme? Like we talked about Erik's impact, but even from like a Chaz Wheatley, for example, who comes back and is just gives those kids that are new to the program that idea of, hey, even if it's not the pros, like I can carve out a pretty good college career out of this and chase a dream for a bit.
100%. I mean, it's like I talked about with Erik, like the concept of ignition. So there's multiple levels of ignition. Right, a young kid sees, man, there's a pitcher at University of Iowa. Okay, like I could do that. Or, Dom makes Team Canada. Now suddenly Team Canada is possible. Owen Pote gets drafted. Getting drafted out of high school is possible. And each year, and even then the velocity of, now like we got kids in grade 10 throwing 85 that aren't happy because we had a kid in grade 10 throwing 90. Mm-hmm. So that's why Ignition it truly exists and it's powerful, because it just, let's say if 85 is the ceiling, you get to 85 and you're like, okay, I'm good. But now it's like a pushing for more. And, and then it's been the coolest thing. Like when Chaz was in high school, there were older alumni college guys that would come back and it would help him. And, seeing Chaz play catch with like Cam Bergstrom and hearing Chaz, just playing catch and telling him, hey, like that was good. Do this with your changeup. It's just small little moments like that where I kind of sit back and think about, a few years ago, I maybe had 5 or 6 total baseball players. And, I keep saying it, but very rewarding.
Absolutely. Is there a point too with that? You mentioned, like, say the kids who are throwing 85 who aren't content and want to be 90. Is there an element in there of trying to hold them back a little bit, especially as you guys are starting to get outside now? They're amped up, but you got to kind of reel them in a little bit, because you're like, hey, whether it's an injury or overextending yourself, or you got to be kind of cautious of that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, knock on wood, I think we do as good a job as anybody as like how we on ramp and ramp up, and then manage workload early in the season and manage workload throughout the season. We have a really good track record of guys being able to take, go out every weekend. And then same thing in college, like be healthy and pitch and compete. I don't think it's as much about guarding against chasing more performance. I think it's just about the best way I can explain it is in any training endeavor. You can only train or train as hard or perform as well as that which you can recover from. Right. So trying to educate these high school athletes on the importance of recovery, and then from a specifically throwing standpoint, listening to your arm. Right. So we create throwing programs, but they're very malleable on a daily basis. Like our number one rule is listen to our arm. Mm-hmm. So we're always doing it. We're always asking, how are you feeling? And then tailoring throwing. Like some guys benefit more from throwing more. Some guys benefit from throwing a little less. And it's just about finding what that right recipe for each guy. And there's a little bit ebb and flow to figure that out, but just monitoring it and changing it as we go.
Absolutely. I know it's a busy time around your office lately. You've got all kinds of things going on. From a baseball perspective, what are you most excited about heading into 2025?
I'm really, there's a lot of things, but I'm really excited to see the growth of our 2 teams, the Renegades and the Rustlers, that are going to be playing all spring and summer long. We put in these kids, I'm really proud of them. They're both awesome, groups. They work extremely hard. Like I can't even explain it. It's almost like too much at times. I'll go in Saturday. Sometimes I'll go in at Saturday at 5 a.m. because we'll practice at 7 with Renegades. And there's a handful of, 5 or 6 kids that have beaten me, and they're hitting at, a 16-year-old, 17-year-old hitting at 5 a.m. On a Saturday. Maybe they need to get a bit of a life, but I was the same way. So I love it. I'm just excited for them to get to compete together. And, like we talk about every team at the start of the year, you think about your potential as a group, can we maximize that potential? How good can, when you look at a roster on paper, how good do you think we can be? And can we raise the bar and even outperform our potential? That's what's so exciting to me. And why I love being a part of a team and why I love coaching it.
That's fantastic. Final question for you. What do you love most about this time of year?
Well, man, I love the Ken Burns baseball documentary, and there's one part in it where there's one old journalist. I'm gonna get the quote wrong, I think, but it's something along the lines of like, baseball. There's something missing when baseball season isn't going on. During the season, there's games every day, and you didn't have to watch, but it's always there if you need it. So it's just, there's always a game on, and when you needed it, baseball's there for you. And, you can get you can extrapolate that and make it as deep as you want. But for me, I think that's what I love is baseball's back and there if I need it.
Absolutely. Looking forward to a great season, not just at big league level, but obviously all that you guys are doing up at AHP. Taylor, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks for having me as always.
Finally, we check in with Okotoks Dawgs and Dawgs Academy coach Lou Pote. Not only is he excited to see where prospects like Tristan Peters, Matt Lloyd, Matt Wilkinson, and Eric Hartman land, but he has a unique perspective on opening day as he was part of his own during his 5 years in the big leagues. That includes a great story about his second opening day, which happened in his hometown of Chicago against the team he grew up idolizing, the White Sox. Lou, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Opening day is finally here for Major League Baseball, at least. I know the Academy's been going at it from your standpoint. We'll get to that in a minute. But when it comes to the MLB stuff, how excited are you to see games actually being played now?
Oh, man, it's just, it just means our league's around the corner. And it's always a special day. I know, like, as a staff, we're going to one of our sponsors tomorrow to watch the Blue Jays opener. So shout out to Leopold's here in town because they're going to have us, a bunch of us, rooting on the Blue Jays tomorrow.
Very cool. Are you a Blue Jays guy now, or do you still have some, because of your prior pro dealings, you've got maybe an affinity to some other teams?
I'm a White Sox guy at heart. I know that's some tough times right now, but a South Sider, so I'm a White Sox guy. I always cheer for the Angels, having played there. And then, but I do root for the Blue Jays because, I live up here and I think whenever they do well, baseball thrives. So, always pulling for the Blue Jays and this, look forward to hopefully them having a really good year.
Am I alone in thinking that maybe this is going to be a good year for the Blue Jays because Vladdy's going to be wanting a big deal at the end of it, and Bo's going to want a big deal at the end of it, and he got some guys with maybe a chip on their shoulder? Do you get the feeling that maybe there's something brewing with the Blue Jays this year?
I sure hope so. Anytime guys are playing for a contract, as much as you hope they do that every single year, I think there's a little more incentive, obviously. And I truly think that they both love playing up here. So, hopefully they have great years and that they're in the playoffs. That'd be best case scenario for everyone.
Mm-hmm. On the White Sox side of things, is there a light at the end of the tunnel that you can see? Like, are there some guys down the line that you're like, okay, maybe I'm willing to put up with a couple of bad years before we get into maybe some good times ahead?
I hope so. I don't, it's hard to say. Like, hopefully the young guys that are coming up have, some, play a little ahead of their years and exceed expectations. And we put together a solid year. Obviously playoffs are probably out of the picture already. But, just something that they're building for and then fill in the pieces here and there. But, I just hope it's not as bad as last year.
Fair enough. I don't know if you can get any worse than that.
No.
As someone who spent time in the pros and obviously a few years in the bigs as well, any favorite opening day memories?
Well, my first one in Anaheim was awesome. We played the Yankees. That was just, any day in the major leagues is awesome, but there's something about opening day and just, everything's a little bit bigger, brighter, grander. And then to top it off, playing the Yankees. And then the second one was, I think it was that same year. I grew up going to the White Sox home openers with my friends and family. I went to school right, literally a block away, my high school. And then so the 1 year I was with the Angels, we opened up. We were the White Sox home opener, so that was another level for me. Like, just took me back to, calling in sick to school, and then going down to Trubisky Park, and being down there from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, watching the game, and throwing the football around the parking lot, playing catch with my buddies in the parking lot. So. That was probably, other than my first opening day, that was probably the coolest moment I've had.
What are the Goosies like in that moment, especially because like you see it with the Dawgs, for example. I always talk about the Connor Crosons who grew up in the academy program and are getting to play on the biggest stage in Okotoks. For you, it's that getting to go up to Comiskey and what's that like from a goosebumps perspective?
Well, the one at Comiskey was another level because then they announced, the players, and we line up on the line, and they announced, my name, and that was something I'll never forget. I think I left like 100 tickets for that game, and I my buddies had signs in the stands. So when then they announced my name at Comiskey Park, being part of the Angels on opening day, that was. It was another level. Like I literally, goosebumps are goosebumps, but that was another level of goosebumps.
I can only imagine. Now, there are a few Dogs in the pro ranks that are going to be getting their first taste of opening day from a minor league perspective, obviously, and there's some guys who have been there a time or two. How excited are you to see some of these guys? And I'll use Tristan Peters as an example, who had a great spring training, getting this close to getting the call up. How stoked are you to watch some of these guys moving up the depth charts?
Oh man, like it's they come back every year, and just to see. I remember being at Bantam Nationals, and Tristan came in to pitch against us. He's 15 years old, and now to see him, on the cusp of, fulfilling a childhood dream is awesome. They're just great kids, and they work hard, and, very fortunate to be in a situation that they're in right now. And that would be awesome. Just to see that, he's right there. Matt Lloyd, same thing, had a little bit different path, but to see how hard they work, and, how good they are with our guys in the academy when they can come back. You look out through the windows and you see, Tristan hitting with, 15U guys and some of the academy 18U guys. And that's really special, man. And that's something that makes this place special is, guys coming back and giving back to the players, because they were once in the academy. And, I just excited for them, excited for those guys. And, it's, you got to be in the right place, the right time, and playing pretty good at the time. And, you never know. There's one phone call away now.
Mm-hmm. Another guy who's a couple of phone calls away still, but he made tremendous gains in 2024 is Matt Wilkinson. What'd you see out of him last year? Because I talked to Joe Surgeon when things were kind of in the midst of it, but what were you seeing, especially as a pitcher? And then beyond that, what do you think he's got in him for 2025?
Oh, he tug, man. We've seen that since, the time he got here. He's pitching in a college, as a grade 10, and he's throwing 7 shutout innings in the college league. When he wasn't, obviously he wasn't throwing as hard as he is now. But it's something that he's just always had that. He carries himself like a big leaguer. And that's something that, we've seen since the time he's got here. And as far as, this year, he's a guy that, rises to the occasion. He's gonna perform, and, could be like Sabrowski last year. They needed an arm, and he was pitching really well. So hopefully, he puts himself in a position to be, one of those names in the mix. And but I think, for him, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if this is the year he gets up there.
Very cool. How cool is it as well, from your guys' perspective, to see the spring breakout happen the way it did? You had 4 guys with connections to the Dawgs, with Matt, Eric Hartman, Shea Shanneman, and Jacob Melton all taking part.
That's just, this is a testament to those guys. And, as an academy, just really proud. And, in the organization. It's, this place is special. It always has been. And, to see those guys, watching those guys on TV, getting the opportunity to play in that is just really cool. And they do a great job of representing this place.
Mm-hmm. What's it mean to the program to have, whether you mentioned the guys coming back like Tristan or Gavin Logan or an Eric Hartman and Matt Wilkinson? They're all coming back. They're all giving back, but also kind of paving the road a little bit for those younger guys and showing, hey, I'm doing it. You can do it too.
Yeah, it's like, we talk about it all the time, you could be the next guy, and that's something that, you always got to dream big and have those aspirations. Whether you get to that level is, is another story, but I think, it gives some hope for the guys that, hey man, I remember, last year I was, in the same group or on the same fall team with Eric Hartman, and now he's, in it playing professional baseball. So, it's really cool, man. Like it's it's just something that I think the players here really appreciate and helps them motivate them.
Well, and obviously they've got the opportunity to watch them on TV now, and also they get to act it as well. They're finally putting all the hard work from the winter into practice. What's it been like over the last couple of weeks here as you've been able to see the guys actually suit up and play in a few games as we get ready for spring and summer here?
Oh, it's cabin fever all winter, and then we get a little bit of weather and we get snow off the field, and it's and we get out there. So we had a team just go down to Arizona, play a bunch of college teams, and then every day here we got, last night we had a game over at Tourmaline, so chomping at the bit to say the least, but we're almost there, and guys are excited, really excited to kind of be outside full time and start playing a bunch of games.
Is there anything in particular from the academy perspective, or maybe from the Dawgs perspective as a whole, that you're really looking forward to in 2025?
Just obviously just seeing guys, put in the work over the winter in the weight room. I think that's one of the bigger things is, guys getting stronger, and just, seeing, hopefully, having really good years. And, from, academy standpoint, I think, when we go down to the States and have the tournaments and, we used to kind of go down there and it would be, oh, it's a great trip. And now to see us go down there and actually, play for championships down there is a testament to how hard our guys work all year.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a busy time around the office, the academy, and then before you know it, the WCBL season is going to be getting underway. You're looking for a four-peat, but I know it's in the here and now. My final question for you, what do you love most about this time of year?
I just, it sounds cheesy, but like going outside and, smelling the grass being cut and feel the sound of a field being dragged and, and just the little things, getting, fixing the field up, chalking lines, all that stuff, man. That's what makes baseball, and it's the best time of the year.
That's the good stuff right there, Lou. Well, it's here, finally here, opening day. Really appreciate you giving a little bit of insight into not only your experiences at the MLB level, but also sharing what's going on at the academy and the college program. So thanks again for the time, as always.
All right, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to Ian Wilson, Jeff Peach, Taylor Burns, and Lou Pote for joining us this week. And thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. Happy opening weekend indeed, and we hope you enjoy the official kickoff to the baseball season. We'll hopefully have more for you on the minor league landing spots for players over the next couple of weeks. And as mentioned, we will have a full story for you soon, as well as a few special guests here on the program. As always, a tip of the cap to our platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dawgs, Western Canadian Baseball League, and Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment for their generosity and support. For more on our tremendous teammates, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. You can also contribute yourself by heading to buymeacoffee.com/dugoutstories if you like the show or the stories we do. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.